Marnie, is it true? Are you pregnant? My mom just told me. Are you really pregnant? For sure? I thought you were too old to have a baby. Isn't that what the doctor said? Aren't you like 40? How did you get pregnant? Was it in vitro? Surrogacy? No way you have the actual baby in your own belly. Maybe it was a false positive. I mean, congratulations and all, but I mean, like, I'd been trying to have a baby for 2 years in my 20s, you know that, and even I couldn't get it to happen. How did you, a woman well in her late 30s, have a baby so soon after getting married? Did you even consider my feelings? You never once mentioned wanting kids, and suddenly you're pregnant? How can you do this to me? Whoa, Sally. What are you talking about? I've always wanted a baby. Just because you didn't bother getting to know me the first 5 years doesn't mean I never talked about planning a family with your brother. It wasn't easy for us either. We've been trying for a lot longer than you. Not that this is a competition. Weren't you, like, barren? Didn't you have something wrong with your womb or something that prevented you from getting pregnant? So I always thought it was your fault I never got pregnant. You came into this family with your barren bacteria, spreading it all over the place. Sally, please calm down. You're not making any sense. There is nothing wrong with my uterus. I think that's what you meant to say, not womb. Yes, it's true that as a woman gets older, especially past her 30s, it becomes more and more difficult and unlikely for her to get pregnant. But through some miracle, it did happen to me. You know what it's like to wish for a baby with all your heart. Why can't you be happy for me, woman to woman? You're being very rude and spiteful. This is the happiest I've ever been. There is no need to take your pent-up anger out on me, especially now that I'm carrying your brother's child. Oh, please. It's all your fault I got divorced for not being able to produce a son. Who cares if I was having an innocent affair a few times? If only I'd had a baby, I would never have lost my place in my marriage. My ex-husband would never have discarded me like trash. He would have had to stay with me for the sake of his baby. Wait, you what? You had an affair. In the 2 years you were married, you had an affair. It was an innocent friendship with some man that I thought was friendly. We went out to eat and stuff a few times, that's all. My ex-husband is a total drama queen for blowing it up to something that he thought was enough cause for a clean divorce. But deep down, I know he exaggerated it so he could get rid of me and find a new wife who could start pumping out lots of babies right away. Who knew I wasn't allowed to have a single opposite-sex friend just because I was a married woman? Nobody told me. I thought I was married, not in prison. Anyway, I'm moving back in with you and my parents next week, so please have a room ready for me. You're moving back here? When did you decide this? You can't just drop this notice on us last minute. Do your parents know about this? Does your brother know? It would be great to have an extra income. It would surely be nice. But we're already using the third bedroom for storage. We will need more time to get it ready for you to move in. Wait a minute! An extra income? Are you talking about my income? What income? Do you expect me to pay rent to live with my parents or something? I am a newly divorced housewife, Marnie. How can you expect me to pay rent? I'm swimming in debt from having to pay alimony to that stupid, sterile ex of mine. How greedy are you? That's so inappropriate. Also, it's my parents' house. I don't know what weird, dysfunctional family you come from, but there's no way my parents will force me to pay rent to live in their house. Who are you to tell me what to do, first of all? You're nothing but a latest addition to this family. You rank the lowest of the low. Do I now? Duh! If you got that, make sure you act your place once I get back. I don't want to see no lazy ass sitting around doing nothing just because she's pregnant. You're basically a maid that doesn't get paid. Was this girl for real? I had barely seen her during the 5 years I was married to her brother, let alone gotten to know her since she never showed up to any Klein family gatherings. And now she expects to waltz back into her parents' house where her brother Harry and I are living for the time being as well. Her obvious taunts aside, I had a very bad feeling about this. But since she's part of the family I married into, and to finally get a chance to get to know her, I made a vow to try my part and not cause a stir. After all, Harry and I are only in this house due to his mother's insistence that we live with them for the first 5 years. Before Sally was married, she did live with us in her parents' house for a short while. It was right after she came back from a 3-year exchange student program in Asia. And it was not fun living with her. She was so jealous of me for stealing her brother's attention. She tried to manipulate Harry into thinking I did something bad to her on purpose. The usual childish teenager stuff. But I chalked it all up to as her being young and being new to having a stranger living with her. She would expect me to clean her room when I volunteered to vacuum. She ordered me to make snacks for her like I was a waitress. I even turned many a blind eye when she stole $20 bills from my wallet. I kept telling myself that she didn't mean any harm by her actions, but rather she doesn't know any better because she's been spoiled. I guess what I thought was my peacekeeping was in fact me enabling her. And now after 2 short years of being married and gone, she announces she's coming back, and so soon. Marnie, bring a 2-liter bottle of Sprite and a big watermelon on your way back, will ya? This heat is making me crave them. I want to make watermelon Sprite. I walked here today to get some exercise. I don't think I can carry anything that heavy. Sorry. I'm due next month, so my doctor told me not to strain myself, especially in this heat. Oh, you're not dying or anything. You're just pregnant. Women have done worse while being pregnant for hundreds of thousands of years, like tending to their cattle and stuff. Don't be a first world wuss and bring me back a Sprite and watermelon. It's not like I'm asking you to carry a car, geez. Don't you know you're supposed to move around and get more exercise if you want an easier delivery? Didn't you read up on any of this stuff? How are you going to be a mom if you're so uneducated and so unprepared? Don't you know a whole lot about childbirth and motherhood? Aren't you an expert? I'm being sarcastic. And no, I will not bring you a Sprite and watermelon. You can go get them yourself. You're much more fit than I am, as you so often like to remind me. Why don't you use your big body to some good use? What? Big body? Are you calling me fat? How dare you call me fat? You are calling me fat? You with your giant, veiny tadpole belly are calling me fat? What the actual hell? That's it. Why are you still even here? I thought you wanted to go have your baby near your parents' place. Why don't you just go there already? If you don't want to be helpful to this family. What? You don't even come out of your room because you have morning sickness, leaving the rest of us to make breakfast. Then during the day, you claim you have to take things easy and sit around doing nothing. And when my brother comes home from a long day of work, you have the gall to ask him to massage your elephant legs? Who do you think you are, a princess? Do you know how disgusted we are to have to see your big presents dragging around the house, eating everything in sight? So why don't you just pack up and leave? Stay with your parents until your precious baby comes. That's rich. Like you've done a single thing to help out around the house, Sally. You don't work, you don't pay rent, you don't do anything. I will not have you criticize me for how I handle my pregnancy. Yeah, right. My mom agrees with me, you know. She said the same thing about how all you do is eat. At least you used to clean the house and help make dinner and stuff before. Now you literally do nothing. If it's not the miscarriage scare you had towards the beginning of the pregnancy, it's the premature birth scare you claim to have now. Are those even a real thing? They sound like excuses to me, for you to be as lazy as you want. And what morning sickness lasts the entire pregnancy night and day? That can't be right. I have literally never seen someone fuss so damn much about having a baby. Oh yeah, maybe you're onto something. Maybe I will pack up and leave. How are you enjoying being at your parents' house? Hi, Sally. It's been great. I get to eat my mom's homemade food every day, and my parents let me rest as much as I need. This is really paradise. I bet. There sure is nothing like being at home, is there? But you must be bored because you don't have a brother who's married. Huh? How do you mean? I mean, don't you wish you had a brother who has a wife living with you to do all your chores and stuff? One of the best things about living at home with my brother's wife was having her be my personal butler. But since you only have a sister, you can't do that. And I'm saying that must be boring for you. Wow. I don't know about being bored, but I can definitely tell you that I'm really, really loving it here without you. To be at home where the others don't expect me to do anything and let me be comfortable because they love me, it's really refreshing. Yeah, you should just stay there. I can have the rest of your stuff packed up and sent over if you'd like. Maybe you can stay there for good and never come back. What? Harry agrees with me. He says we should start packing. Just stay with your loving parents. Have them pay for you and your child. But how sad, huh? You did your best to act like a precious, fragile little pregnant lady so you could get my brother's full attention. And then, even before the baby comes, you're kicked out and discarded by my brother. You just had to get pregnant, didn't you? What are you talking about? What do you think is happening here? You need to grow up, Sally. You're not a young, rebellious teenager anymore. You're a grown woman, a divorced woman, who should definitely know better now. I get that you're sore I took your brother away from you. I can understand that. But enough is enough. Your juvenile attempts to bully me and make me feel useless is not going to do you any good. Why are you so determined to hate me? Because Harry's been different ever since he met you. Before you, he was such a good brother. He'd buy me things, take me shopping, take me to concerts, to the movies. But ever since he met you, he barely gives me a second glance. And I hear you take all his paychecks. You handle his finances. Why? You think it's fair that my brother has to get an allowance from you after working himself to the bone each month? My poor brother lives off $300 a month. Who are you to say how much he gets to have in the first place? It's his hard-earned money. It's not like you bring in as much into this family. You sit around and do nothing. Yet you claim his money like it's rightfully all yours. No wonder you were thrown out like trash. Thrown out? Me? By whom? My brother, you stupid idiot. Like I said, he's packing up your cheap belongings as we speak. We're gonna send every last little thing in this house that was yours and send them over via cash on delivery. Take your shit and don't ever set foot in this house or anywhere near this family. You got that? Did you get the packages? How much was it? Must have been quite a lot, huh? Sally, I thought you never wanted anything to do with me. Well, until your divorce papers are finalized, we're technically still family. I figured I could spare a text or two to make sure you got what we sent you. I wanted to see how you're doing, because I'm not a heartless monster. Are you terrified yet? You'll soon be a divorced single mom with a newborn. Having to take care of a shrieking baby all on your own? I'd just kill myself if I were you. Yikes! Poor you. An even poorer baby. How's it gonna survive? You should have been nicer to me when you had the chance. Are you regretting your bad life choices yet? Maybe it hasn't hit your thick skull. Good riddance for my brother. Amen. Your brother? Do you need to talk to him? He's right here, burping the baby right now. What? What the heck are you talking about? Why would Harry be over there? He left a week ago on an extended business trip. I saw him get in a cab with his giant suitcase. He's probably in Spain or somewhere by now. You are mistaken, Sally. He didn't go on a business trip. He packed up his stuff and came to be with me. See, the entirety of his belongings could fit in a single suitcase because he'd spent so much money covering for your expenses that he had none for himself. That's a lie. And why would my brother ever go see you? He kicked you out. That's almost funny. Why on earth would Harry kick me out? I just had his baby. It's a girl, by the way. Harry has not left her side or mine. He's even taken a whole month off from work to be with us. You think Harry and I ever let your rants affect us? Did you really think your awful, hurtful words toward me went unnoticed by your brother this whole time? Honey, he knew. And his love for me and his baby never once faltered. Would you like me to tell you the name, by the way? That's a lie. Why would Harry pack your things and send them to you if he wasn't planning on leaving you? It makes no sense. You can't even spin a good story. It was his idea. He packed up my things and his things and moved out of your suffocating house so that he and I could finally start our own life with our beautiful baby, just the three of us. Get that through your thick skull. Do you know how hard and stressful it was to live with your mom while trying to have a baby? Not just for me, but for Harry too. He couldn't handle it anymore. He had had enough, so he came up with a plan. He chose me. He chose a life with me, not you. It's really kind of gross that I even have to spell this out for you. You're his sister. Your weird obsession towards your biological brother is unhinged, to say the least. You do not get to talk to me like that. You're a Klein now. You can't just up and leave the family. We basically own you. Even if that were true, which in no universe it is, you told me to leave. I, a respectful woman, did what my husband's dear sister told me to do, and I promptly took the matter to your brother to discuss with him. You should have seen Harry's face when he heard what you said to me. Well, I didn't mean for Harry to go with you. In any case, I'll leave you to it. You can go on and live a happy little life with your family. You might need to start looking for a job now, though, if you want to make rent every month. What rent? What rent? It's what you pay the landlord whose house you live in. Grown-ups pay it. Harry and I have been covering the whole thing until last month. Did your mom not tell you? Of all the things she seems to share with you, it's strange she never mentioned anything about money. She must have been too proud to burden her precious daughter with such foolish things. What are you getting at? All I know is your mom invested your father's savings and retirement funds in some new startup. And let me just say, it didn't quite have the outcome she was hoping for. We took pity on your dad for losing his life savings in one go, but there was only so much we could do to help, if he himself had no motivation left to get back out there. We never complained about paying for them because Harry's a good son. But for me, what did I get? Did I ever get as much as a half-hearted thank you? No. I was bullied and tormented, treated like a servant, and hurled insults at. Even if in some universe it was justified, I wasn't going to talk to you out of suggesting I move away. Maybe I should be thanking you. Who would want to live like that? Shut your trap, you slut! You don't talk to a Klein like that. Bring your baby and my brother back to this house right now and apologize. The baby belongs with this family. It has our blood. What are you gonna do, not let the baby get to know its living grandparents and aunt? She's a girl, Sally, and she has a name. I already asked you if you wanted to know what it is, but you moved right past it, didn't you? You made it clear yourself that you're not interested in this baby. But suddenly, now that she could be useful to you, you're all about her? Could it be the fact that Harry and I are no longer financially supporting you, I wonder? You need to come back right now. Stop this nonsense. Do you want to see me and my parents starve to death? Because if we do, it'll be all your fault. 3 able-bodied grown adults will not starve to death. Unless, of course, they're too lazy to do anything and prefer to die of hunger rather than work. Honestly, are you for real? Welp, my daughter is crying. I should go tend to her now. Harry said it would be better for my mental health if I blocked all of you once and for all. If you ever need to talk to me for whatever reason, you'll have to go through Harry now. Good luck with that. I still received hundreds of calls from unknown numbers since I blocked the Kleins. Fortunately, my husband kept a close watch on the caller IDs and screened unwanted calls for me. For the first few weeks, Harry hadn't completely cut them off because they are still his family. But once his mom threatened to barge into his work and make a scene, he finally snapped. He blocked his mom and sister and changed his number just to be safe. I had never seen him so angry before. We heard from his dad a while later that he'd filed for divorce and that he's now working part-time as a night security guard at a parking garage to pay for his small studio apartment. He has a bad knee, but he says the job's perfect because he mostly stays seated. He seems happier and less stressed than ever. As for Harry's mom and sister, they had a huge falling out over placing blame, and now they've also gone their separate ways. I hear they're working a minimum of 3 jobs at a time just to make ends meet. I honestly couldn't care less. All I care and appreciate is my mom taking great care of my baby daughter so I can go back to work. I'm the new regional manager. I am loving my job, my husband, my daughter, and this peaceful life. Thank you for watching. We hope you liked the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, Tracy. Are you busy right now? Do you have a minute to chat? There's something that's been on my mind that I want to talk to you about. Hello, Linda. How are you doing? It's nice to hear from you again. It's been a while. I'm actually in the middle of my lunch break, so it's a good time to talk now. How are things going with you? Are you keeping yourself busy? Is everything okay?
Well, the more I've been thinking about it, the more it's been bothering me, and I wanted to get it off my chest. I was wondering what your thoughts are on this. How do you feel about your spending habits? Do you think you're spending more than you should?
Excuse me? I'm not sure I know what you mean. Are you trying to say that I'm spending money recklessly and on things that are not necessary?
For example, didn't you recently go on a lavish vacation that you really didn't need to go on?
Well, yes, we did go on a vacation, but we planned it because it was for my birthday. So it wasn't just a vacation, it was more like a birthday gift celebration getaway for us to enjoy.
Okay, not only that, but 2 months prior to this, didn't you go on your honeymoon too? A honeymoon and vacation in a 2-month span seems a bit much.
Well, yes, we did go on our honeymoon. Of course we went on our honeymoon since we just got married.
Also, didn't you buy a brand new car when there was nothing wrong with the current one? Even though both of you are working and have double income, I still think you're splurging too much on things that are not really needed.
I didn't realize this was weighing on you, and thank you for your concern and speaking up about it. However, I feel that I'm being mindful of my spending habits, so please don't worry so much about how we spend our money. I have it under control, thank you.
From what I can see and calculate, I don't believe that is the case. Are you sure you're being careful not to overspend? Are you sure you're not buying whatever you want, whenever you want? Because my son works for a major corporation, and you think there's an endless supply of money? I always say, even if one has money, there always should be limits that keep oneself in line and not overdo things, because you never know when you're going to need it.
Yes, I agree with you in that aspect of having some boundaries when it comes to spending habits, and I feel that I am within those limits. I'll try to be more aware about my overspending on things and try to keep things to be more frugal and budget to save where I can.
That's good to hear, that you'll be more cautious and try to stay within your budget going forward. Please do so. Knowing Kevin, he's so kind and thoughtful that he probably won't say anything to you about this, even if he feels that you're spending his money recklessly, as it's not in his character to call someone out on negative things. I'm sure he doesn't want to hurt your feelings. You know this already, but he's sensitive in a lot of ways, and he can easily build up stress when he wants to say something, but knows that it'll be confrontational. He has to bite his tongue and hold back on saying things. He even had to actually take some sick leave time from his current company 2 years ago to take a break from all the stress that he had because he couldn't handle it anymore. You should make it a priority not to put too much burden on him, and make sure not to expect him to take care of everything for you. You need to contain stressful situations and keep it away from him as much as you can, and be supportive of him so he doesn't fall ill again.
I feel that I already do, and I plan to continue to take care of him in every way, so please don't worry too much about that, as I know what I'm doing.
Also, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but Kevin seems a bit off these days. He seems to be putting me at a distance, which isn't like him. We usually talk all the time, but more recently he doesn't take my calls as much as he used to for some reason. And he used to text me back rather quickly, but now it takes him such a long time to reply to my texts too.
I haven't really noticed too much of a change in him, but I think he's just been busy in general.
Is it possible that he's overwhelmed at work and he's mentally and physically exhausted?
It's possible that he may be feeling overworked at the company too, but just in general, I think he feels overwhelmed at times.
Well, I guess it's better to be busy at work than not, so I should be happy for him. But as his mother, I don't feel that way, and it makes me worry more about him and how it's affecting him in a negative way. It's not often that I can't get in contact with him like this, so I feel that there's something going on, or maybe even wrong with him. Well, can you let him know that I'm worried about him, and if he can contact me soon so I can hear for myself that everything's fine?
Okay, I will be sure to let him know that you called and that you're worried about him.
While you're at it, if you can tell him that I would appreciate it if he replied to my text more quickly, as I don't like to wait long for replies. If you can relay my message to him, I would appreciate it. Hi, Tracy. Do you have a minute to talk? I was wondering, is my Kevin home?
Yes, I can talk, but no, he hasn't come home yet. Is there anything the matter?
Well, maybe I can ask you about this first. Have you heard anything from my son about the situation with my monthly allowance?
I believe I sent you this month's allowance already, didn't I? You didn't receive it yet?
I received it, but I think there's been a mistake. It's much less than the usual amount he sends me. Actually, I've noticed that it's been getting less and less from a few months ago.
I'm not sure what you mean that it's getting less, but we're sending you $1,000 a month as your allowance, aren't we? Your allowance added together with your Social Security income is quite a sum. You should be fine, right?
You may think that it's enough, but not really. It doesn't last as long as you think it would. Don't forget, given the fact that my husband passed away before me too, in order for me to live adequately and comfortably, the current allowance barely allows for that.
I heard you have your husband's estate inheritance to supplement also.
Well, yes, I do have the inheritance, but that's a separate issue. I don't really want to spend the inheritance because you never know what can happen in the future. So I want to hold on to that so that I can make sure I have some savings when I need it. If at all possible, I'd like to leave some of the inheritance to my son too.
I see. I understand what you're saying. Regardless of the situation, though, we're not going to be able to increase your monthly allowance.
Why are you saying that? Until now, my son has consistently been sending me an allowance of $2,000 a month. Plus, you both work and have double income, so you have more than enough put together, right? It doesn't make sense that you got married and 2 incomes, but then all of a sudden my monthly allowance is now less.
To be honest, budgets and spending patterns change, even more so after couples get married. Just like what you were worried about. We're also unsure of our future, so we want to have some savings to fall back on too.
What do you mean when you say that you're unsure of the future? Both you and my son work for good companies, so there shouldn't be any future problems, right?
You just really never know what the future holds for anyone, and we want to be prepared. It's just like how you said that you didn't want to spend any of your husband's inheritance. We feel the same with our money. Not only that, but we want to have as much savings as possible for when we decide to have children, whenever that may be.
I guess I can understand that, and that may be the case. But shouldn't you be worrying more about your elderly mother-in-law than yourselves? I am an elderly senior that lives all alone by herself with no support system. Don't you feel the least bit of guilt for making me live an impoverished life like this?
I feel that if you're receiving $1,000 a month, that should be more than enough for you to live comfortably. I think most people would agree. You can probably even indulge a bit from time to time if you stretch your spending ways, can't you? Not to mention, you outright own your house, so you don't have rent to pay, which is usually a large amount of someone's budget.
You don't understand. Our generation somehow ends up spending money from this and that, and it's just the way it is. You wouldn't think so, but the hospital visits do add up more quickly than you would imagine.
It's funny you mention that because I believe you have health insurance for that exact reason.
That's not the point. That doesn't matter. Why can't you just understand that it's just not enough? Tell my son to go back to sending the usual amount as before so that everything can go back to normal.
I feel that $1,000 is more than enough for your allowance to live a comfortable life in your situation. Come to think of it, maybe you should start thinking of ways to save money in order to stretch your monthly allowance like you've asked me to do.
What is your point? What are you trying to say? What part of my spending are you saying is lavish and unacceptable to you?
If you spend within your budgeted means, there shouldn't be any reason that your allowance isn't enough.
Look here, I'm talking to you because I'm concerned for your sake, and you talk to me in this manner. That's quite a bad attitude you're taking with me, don't you think? I'm just gonna say this, but the reason why I agreed to let my son marry you was because I was told you work for a big and reliable corporation. You said that the both of you would continue to work to have double income, so that's why I consented to the marriage.
Oh, is that so? I wasn't aware.
Otherwise, did you really think I would have allowed a homely woman like you to marry Kevin? As I said before, you get paid well also, so it doesn't make sense that the monthly allowance would be reduced now. I don't get it. You must be the one that's overspending that you're not able to send the usual allowance. Do you think just because you married him you can be out of control like this, spending money on whatever you want? I should have never let my son get married to someone like you who spends money like crazy.
I have to honestly say that I do not spend wastefully in the way you're accusing me.
I heard you just bought a brand new dryer. Nothing was wrong with the one you had. I also happen to know for a fact that you bought a bunch of expensive outfits for yourself.
That's odd. How could you possibly know about all this? Wait a second. By any chance, are you the one who's been rummaging through our garbage recently?
That's not something I would normally do, but I had to resort to snooping around your garbage because you keep insisting that you don't waste money. If you don't want people to see what's in your trash, why don't you throw your garbage away more discreetly?
Just so you know, we received a notice from the building management company. We were reprimanded that there's debris scattered across the place, so please stop going through our garbage. If you continue to do that, I will have no choice but to comply with the building management and to report you and let them know your identity and information.
You need to be quiet. All I know is that my monthly allowance has decreased since my son married you. It's time to admit that the problem is with you and your spending and own up to it so that we can resolve it and move on.
I'm sorry, but I'm busy right now. So can I get back to you and we can speak about this another time?
Excuse me. How dare you? I'm speaking to you right now. You think you can just interrupt me like this and stop our discussion in the middle of a conversation?
I will discuss your allowance with my husband and then get back to you at another time after we talk it through again.
I see. It seems as though you've finally come to your senses and are ready to return my allowance to the original amount, right? You should remember my son will do anything I ask of him. Believe me when I say that I can even convince him to divorce you if I wanted to.
Is that so? I will keep that in mind.
To be clear, let me bluntly tell you where you stand. You should understand the fact that some plain girl like you was only able to get married because of me, and only me. Tracy, do you know what's going on, as I have no idea what is happening? My son just unexpectedly told me that he's gonna stop sending me my monthly allowance.
Yes, I am aware of this, and that is correct.
I haven't been able to get in touch with him at all. I'm sure you were the one that made all this happen. Until now, there was never a time where my son would go against me like he's doing now.
Actually, he made this decision on his own.
There is no way that my son would decide something like this. It's the weekend, so both of you aren't working today, right? I'm gonna head over to your house now, so wait there for me.
I have to let you know that coming here isn't going to help.
We're not at the place that you've known as our house since we've moved to another location.
What? Did you just say you moved to a new place?
Yes, we moved into a new house.
Where did you move to?
Do you really think I would let you know? I have no plans of telling you. We grew tired of you always intruding and hounding us for money.
That's because of your overspending, right? Moving is considered overspending. Moving costs money too. You keep doing things like this, and that is why the monthly allowance gets reduced.
Actually, moving to another house was calculated as a necessary expense.
Just stop it. Stop it right now. A wife shouldn't squander her pay. Find a way to be more thrifty and pass the savings through to my monthly allowance. You just need to be a proper wife to earn money and do the chores around the house. If you want to continue this marriage with my son, you better find a way to pay the difference of my monthly allowance.
No, I don't think so. I will not pay the difference. We are frankly telling you that we will not be sending your monthly allowance any longer.
I cannot trust you to take care of my son when you, the wife, can't even manage a household budget. If you don't like what I'm saying, leave Kevin.
You can tell that to Kevin directly. After all, he's in charge of the household budget since he doesn't work anymore. Oh, I forgot. You're not able to get in touch with him anymore.
Back up a second. My son isn't working.
That's right. He's not working right now. We came to a decision that he will stay at home and be a homemaker.
What are you talking about? There's no reason he would leave his job, right?
He actually quit his job right after we got married.
Why would he do such a thing? What reason would he have to quit his job?
He was actually at his wit's end and hit his limit with working for that company. He had a lot of pressure from upper management, and he also didn't get along with supervisors he was directly reporting to. The compensation might have been good, but that's not everything. It was taking a major toll on him mentally and physically.
But he took a leave of absence to take a break before. He recovered from his illness, no?
He went back to work because you were constantly hounding him. You were intrusively coming over to the house and demanding that he not leave his company. He was trying to take a mental break and you broke him down even more. He wanted to get away from you so badly that he went back to work.
Are you trying to say that this was my fault?
Come to think of it, I'm sure there's no other reason besides you. You were saying things like, if you don't work, I can't survive. How much do you think I spend putting you through school? You just got into the company, and if you quit, you won't know what to do with your life. It's so embarrassing to have a son that quits his job. You were saying things like that to make him feel down about himself, weren't you? Don't you think for someone who's already having a mental breakdown, hearing things like that would only bring him down even more, no?
In my mind, I just wanted to support him so he can continue working.
That's because you didn't want your monthly allowance to be reduced. In all honesty, it's about time you let him out of your grips. To this day, he has paid you more than enough of what would rightly be owed to you. I think he's paid you more than what he would have owed you for college tuition.
But did he really quit his job? I can't believe he would do something like that. Even when I talked to him last time, he told me he was busy and everything seemed fine. It's not normal for a stay-at-home husband not to be home at night. Are you lying to me because you don't want to send the monthly allowance to me anymore?
The reason why I didn't tell you earlier was because we were preparing for the move to the new house. Also, he wasn't home the other night because he was at cooking class. He says he wants to cook delicious food for me, so he started looking into it, found a place, and is now going to cooking classes.
He started going to cooking classes. My Kevin.
Would you care to see the picture of the meals he's been preparing for me? I've been taking pictures every day of all the food he makes me.
Oh, please, that won't be necessary. Knowing you, that's probably a made-up story anyway. You probably just Googled some pictures to lie to me. Whatever the case, that's fine. I'll make a call to his company. I'm telling you right now, if he didn't quit, you're going to divorce him.
Sure, that's fine by me. Today is a weekend, so I don't think you'll be able to reach the company.
Don't you think I know that? I will call next week on a weekday. You just wait. You should be shaking in your boots. Hello, Tracy. I'm sorry to bother you during work.
That's okay. I took a personal day today, so it's fine. I can talk. I assumed you called his company, right?
Yes, I did, and I found out that he really did resign from the company. Turns out you were telling the truth after all.
It's fine, as long as you understand where we all stand now. So, as I was saying, please go on living your life independently without bothering us. It was only a short while knowing you, but thank you for everything.
Please hold on a second. I'd like for you to listen to what I have to say.
What is it? I already told you that we won't send your monthly allowance anymore.
I'm going to tell you everything. To be honest, there's hardly anything left from my husband's inheritance.
Why am I not surprised? So you were overspending.
No, it wasn't like that. Just so many people to see and places to go, and it just ended up like this. When you get to my age, you can't just buy these cheap things all the time, you understand, right? So just living day to day starts adding up and getting costly, and you end up spending more than I intended to.
Actually, he's already told me about that. About how you used to go on trips a few times a month and eat at expensive high-end restaurants. You even used his bonus money to buy a brand name bag. You're the one that spends recklessly. Plus, using other people's money to attain all this and to continue this lifestyle is so low.
I'm his mother, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I let myself think it was just thoughtful repayments from him for all the times I took care of him.
So, if that's the case, it's over now, right? I think he's repaid you well over what was deserved. Please start living within your means with your income.
I'm telling you, that's just not possible. I can't just change the lifestyle I've grown accustomed to overnight.
That's just you being selfish, don't you think so? Even though he was making good money when I first met him, he was wearing the same clothes for years. No less, he was wearing cheap retail clothes. You were making him be frugal and all this time exploiting him for money.
That's because I'm his mother. He loves me and wants to provide for me. He understands this also and sent me the money willingly.
That may have been the case in the past, but that's not quite how it is now. He has said he doesn't want to give you money for allowance anymore.
Listen, can I just speak with him? I'm willing to apologize about everything that happened till now. I agree, and I do admit I was reckless with spending at times.
He's reading these texts with me right alongside me, but he feels that an apology is not necessary. He said that as long as you never contact us again in the future, we'll all move on with our lives.
Why is it that he's not replying, and that you're the one who's replying? If he's there next to you, let me just speak with him directly.
Well, he's saying that he doesn't want to speak with you, so I won't put him on.
That isn't for you to decide, now is it? You're not family, so you shouldn't get involved in our parent-child discussion.
I'm not a stranger, and he is my family. And I cannot let that family continue to get hurt and not intervene.
What are you talking about? Nobody's getting hurt. I just want to talk to him.
Just the mere act of speaking with you causes stress for him. So please do not contact me any longer also. My husband and I have already discussed it ahead of time and have relayed all that we want to say to you.
Hold on. Fine, I got it. You can continue with the lower allowance amount of $1,000. I'll somehow find a way to make that work. So, for the time being, will you stop saying things like cutting off all ties and never contacting each other?
Did you just really say the lower amount of $1,000? Do you have any idea how hard one has to work to make that kind of money? Just as I would expect, you do not feel any remorse. Don't ever contact us or come near us again.
Listen, I'm really in trouble. Please, can you please help me out? I can't continue to live on like this any longer.
You abandoned him when he needed you, and hearing this from the person who further pushed him into depression is not going to resonate with me. Plus, you're the one who said to make sure I support him. I will protect him from the very person who says that they're family but takes advantage of their own family and can't control their spending. After that, I immediately blocked my mother-in-law's phone number and haven't been in contact with her at all. I heard from my husband's relative that my mother-in-law's been living beyond her means of monthly income, and so in order to survive, she's been selling her personal belongings. I do understand that having to live within means that one has been lowered to might be difficult, but I'm sure she'll figure it out and be okay. Even if she ends up borrowing money and goes into debt, we have no intention of helping her out. After she passes away, we don't want to inherit nor be responsible for any of her debts, so we plan on taking measures to make sure we'll not be liable for any debts she leaves behind. Until now, it seemed that she used to brag about my husband's elite profession and flaunt her lavish ways of spending. But now that she's not getting the monthly allowance from us, she's become a recluse and stays at home. For someone that relishes the spotlight and loves to show off, this is probably a bitter pill for her to swallow and a good lesson in return. But still, I'm not able to forgive her for exploiting my husband and making him suffer all these years. Even in the near future, if she changes her ways for the better and becomes a different person, we still have no plan on seeing her again. After resigning from his job and not being in contact with his mother, he seems to be more positive than he was before. He still occasionally visits the hospital, but he doesn't need medication anymore, and he seems like he may want to return to work again one of these days. Next, we just need to find a company that's a good fit for him, and I'm quietly cheering him on from the sidelines to start working again. Out of all the people I've ever met, my husband is by far the most caring man I have ever met. I'm sure that a caring man like my husband has touched many hearts and made a difference in many people's lives. On the other hand, it makes me so mad to think about how there are just so many people out there that take advantage of good people. I'd like to think that if we stand united to support and lift each other up, we'd be that much stronger together. I plan to walk hand in hand with my wonderful husband and create a happy family and live a fulfilling life together. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to see more content.